Hello, everybody. This is the Chocolate News Podcast. I'm your co-host, John Alexander Reese. And if you didn't know, the Cincinnati Herald has been around since 1955 and is the leading African-American owned newspaper in the greater Cincinnati area and the northern Kentucky area. And today we have with us our digital correspondent, Andria Carter. How are you doing today, Andria?
John, how you doing today?
I am doing fantastic. So, Andria, what's the chocolate news of the week?
Well, I mean, it has been a very interesting week, I would say, for news. I would say let's kick it off with Biden. He finally got his infrastructure bill passed and signed. He signed it. I think that is the best thing that has happened for the country in a long time. It's a huge win for the Democrats. I believe they've been touting it as the blue collar blueprint to rebuild America. And, the president and the vice president are now traveling across the country to promote it and recognize all the different projects that are going to be funded by this bill. And there's still another fight to be had regarding infrastructure, regarding more of the, I would say, quality of life issues regarding Social Security, welfare, Social Security, things like that. That next bill that's going to come about, but it's a good thing. It's a win for America. It's a win for the Democrats. If they can get past their differences and pass the voting rights bills that we really want, I think the Democrats are going to find that their life is going to be smooth sailing for a little while and make it a little rough for the Republicans.
Yeah, definitely. It's a shame what they had to cut out of the bill in order to get it approved. But you know what? It's like you got to take this as a win. Now, let me ask you this. How do you think the infrastructure bill is going to affect the greater Cincinnati area?
Well, I think we're going to get a new bridge.
Thank goodness.
We need it. We need several new bridges, but I think
yes.
we're especially that bridge. I mean, I don't even drive 75 anymore because that bridge is just so crowded. And, and I think we need a new viaduct as well. The Western Hills Viaduct that needs to be replaced. Our bridges are aging across the country and even here, and we are the crossroads. People come from Cincinnati to travel, taking their goods to other places. We have so many trucks that come through every single day. We are a key component to our supply chain, and I think we're going to benefit from that. I think the area is going to see it in jobs, going to see it in companies coming to this area. And I think a new development will come with the new bridge. So I'm looking forward to see what this happens.
And once again, congratulations to Biden for getting that bill passed. Now, let me ask you about the Kyle Rittenhouse trial. What's the status on that?
Yes. Well, right now the jury is still deliberating. The judge has dismissed some charges against Kyle. There are more misdemeanor gun charges because it was a technicality. The state law was a little iffy on the gun charge. So he just threw it out because the prosecution didn't prove enough of the case to warrant the jury deliberating over it. But the jury, I think, they're into their second day of deliberation. They're asking questions. They watched some video today. I know the defense has asked for a mistrial in the case because of this video that the jury watched. I think it's going to be interesting to see what the judge rules on it, but at the end of the day, the jury is still deliberating. And I think they are struggling on the case because of what was presented, how it was presented. But I think at the end of the day is what is in the mind of a 17-year-old who thought enough to carry a gun, even though he claimed that he was going to help people and protect property. How do you help people carrying a gun?
All I gotta say is that he's a very stupid kid or very naive or maybe a little bit of both.
Well, I think someone played too many video games thinking that he was a hero, got his mom to drive him across state line with a gun, I might add.
Yeah.
And then carry, not a shotgun. I think it was a sharpshooter gun or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm not too clear about, I forgot what type of gun he had. But again, if I'm going out to help the community, I don't carry a gun. To protect property, you can protect property, but just saying, please don't step on that. You don't need a gun to say, no, don't do this, please don't. Last year at the protest that we had here in Cincinnati, there were guys who protected storefronts by keeping the crowd away from the storefront windows by saying, you're not doing it here. And they stopped it and moved them along. So you don't need a gun to protect. I think it was a naive 17-year-old thinking that he's going to be a hero and seeing, become this big thing in his own eyes, and come to find out instead he killed 3 people. At the end of the day, he killed 3 people. Whether they tried to say this guy was menacing and that he feared for his life, which is usually the standard fare of when someone does something wrong. They say, well, I feared for my life. I felt fearful. I thought they were going to hurt me. Well, guess what? They were fearful of you. You got the gun. They didn't have anything. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what the jury decides.
I just have this awful feeling that if he's found innocent, that he's just basically going to be the poster child for vigilante justice. And this is going to encourage more people, because if, riots happen again, some kid is just going to say, well, I'm going to be like Kyle Rittenhouse and I'm going to defend this territory. And that Rittenhouse is going to be like talking points all over the right-wing media, maybe get his own show on Fox News or One American News Network or something like that. That's my biggest fear.
If he's found guilty of anything, it will be a misdemeanor, and they will limit his time in jail or at least probation. I'm not expecting a big win. I'm probably hoping for a little win. And when I say a little win, I'm hoping for probation, and that he's on probation for 5 years, and that he has to take classes on how to handle a gun and how to speak with people and, learn something. He's lucky. I'm not expecting much. If he is convicted, I'm going to be shocked. Like I said, I'm expecting a little win, not a big win on this. But unfortunately, Trump, when he was president, opened the door to this crap. He opened the door to this chaos, and we cannot shut this door. And unfortunately, until people of non-color wake up and chastise the people who are doing this stuff, it's going to continue. People are fear of the unknown. People are fearful of people not looking like them being in charge. People are fearful of just what people will do in retaliation for what has been done to them themselves. They fear the unknown. They fear the future. And I'm like, if the Black community and the Black and brown community feared the future for every day, we would never be where we are today. You just got to wake up, live your life, and pray that someone is thinking logically and straightforward and thinking of the bigger picture of society and not just them. But unfortunately, America lives in an era of fear, and fear has people doing stupid stuff.
Now, I want to hear your take on the other case that's going on right now, the Ahmaud Arbery trial. Can you tell us what's going on with that?
From what I understand, the Ahmaud Arbery case right now, one of the gentlemen, Michael, I believe his name, is on the stand right now being questioned by the prosecution. I do know that one of the defense attorneys several times has tried to get Black ministers ousted from the courthouse not to come and sit in the audience because he claims it intimidates the jury.
Wow.
Well, and he's tried to get Al Sharpton thrown out. He's tried to have Reverend Jesse Jackson removed from the courtroom, and the judge has said, I'm not going to do this. This is a public forum and it's going to remain public. My thing is, the more the man doth protest too much, the more he protests, the guiltier his guy is. He needs to sit down, shut up, and let him sit in the audience. Because if he didn't say anything, it probably will more swing his way. Now the jury is going to be looking at this guy and you're like, why does the defense attorney keep saying that we're going to be intimidated by these Black people in the room? They're probably not going to be. They see, oh yeah, they probably get to see the guys, that they've seen on TV up close and personal, like, wow, he's in the room. They could be starstruck and could care less. But because he keeps protesting, and asking for a mistrial, I think it's going to go against his guy. It's not going to go for his guy. It's going to be interesting to see what the outcome is, but that's where they are. The prosecutor is still questioning Michael, and we'll see what happens tomorrow.
All I can say, I hope Ahmaud's family gets justice. That's what I'm hoping.
I think they deserve justice, because I think what's interesting, the prosecution, again, the gentleman on the stand said that he feared for his life and that, he was afraid that he was going to be injured. And I'm kind of like, the guy was running. He had no gun. He had no weapon on him. He attacked. If he did attack you, that's because you attacked him, because you instigated the situation to begin with. But I think the prosecution also brought up that, white people who have run through this construction site, you didn't go after them. What made him so special that you went after this person and not everybody else? So there's flaws in their story. And, they're digging deep to prove that they had a right to do what they did. But at the end of the day, they took a life. And they had no reason to take the life because it was none of their business to begin with. So we'll just see what happened. We may win one and we may lose one. So, and I think that may happen. We're just gonna have to see what happens.
So to move on to a lighter piece of news, New Year's Eve.
Yes.
It's happening again in Times Square. Mayor Bill de Blasio announced that New York City is going to host the event this year, and it culminates with the ball drop at midnight on January 1st. So, of course, you'll still have to be vaccinated. And if you're not vaccinated, you'll have to provide a negative COVID test within 72 hours, before the event. But it's still good news. Like, what are your thoughts, Andrea?
I'm excited. I mean, I love the ball dropping. I love New Year's Eve. I remember when I was working in New Jersey and I was working the late shift at a newspaper. And I got off at 11 o'clock and I decided right then and there that I was going to go to the train station and get on the train. It was New Year's Eve. And I decided, you know what? I want to know what all the excitement is about. And I got on the train and I went to Times Square. Now, mind you, the crowd was so big, I didn't get to Times Square. I was like a block and a half over from Times Square. But it was exciting, because you were in this place where there was a cop on every corner, believe it or not. It was the safest moment in the country to be because cops were everywhere. But there were people from around the world, all in this one spot saying Happy New Year. Folks were going through, they had different pens where you could stand. And I ended up, when I did this, I ended up on 7th Avenue near the corner of, was it 44th or 4th? No, I was on the corner of near the corner of 42nd and 7th Avenue. And the ball was off of the ball, Times Square off of 8th Street is over, one block over. So I couldn't get there. I just couldn't. I mean, you have to get there like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And if you got to go to the bathroom, you might as well wear a diaper because you can't, once you're in there, you can't get out. And I've been told this by a number of New Yorkers that it's just that way because a lot of stores will shut down. I was lucky when I went that there was a McDonald's near where I was standing and they were selling hot chocolate and their bathroom was open. So I got to go to the bathroom in that McDonald's. But other than that, I mean, it was just like you're in this pen, your bag is checked several times. I went through several checkpoints. You can't have a weapon or anything like that, but you could have, if you were carrying a bottle and glasses to celebrate, you could have that. And I remember where I was standing, there was a group of people speaking French. There's another group speaking German. There were 2 people smoking marijuana off to the side, hiding it from the cops, but they didn't care. There was another group just shooting the breeze and, had couples cuddle up. I went by myself because I wanted to see what was going on. I would like to go with a group to experience it that way. But I think everyone should do it at least one time. Even if you don't get to Times Square, just get to New York and experience the excitement, experience what's going on. And there are enough vendors there that you can buy a hat or 2 on the side and celebrate. So I say I'm looking forward to it. I don't know what I'm going to do this year for New Year's, but I know with everything that's been accomplished this year, I have a lot to celebrate. And I'm just going to be right there with them, watching that ball drop and just say, woohoo, New Year's Eve.
Yep. Goodbye 2021. Hello 2022. I cannot
believe it's almost 2022. Where did this time go?
I know. It just seems like 2020 and 2021 have been a blur to me. So
I know. I mean, when we take a look back on this year, we had we started out anxious and we ended up hopeful. And I think that's a good balance for this year. We still have a month and a half left of this year. But I think as we start to see the stories of what has happened in the past year, who we've lost, what has been accomplished and things like that, I think everyone should take a big breath, say, you know what? We are better off than what we were a year ago. Things have occurred, things have changed. We have a vaccine. We have a booster. We have this new technology that lets us know with medication, we can be protected a lot faster than ever before, even though some people don't trust it. But I think we need to be joyous. And I think this Thanksgiving, this Christmas, we need to be joyous. And the New Year's celebration should be joyous, because I think at the end of the day, we survived, we are living our lives, and you know what? We're moving forward. And I think we need to celebrate that and have a big woohoo and keep stepping.
Definitely. I totally agree with that. Okay, well, that's the news side of chocolate news. And now we're going to head on over to Morgan Angelique Owens, our co-host for Chocolate News, and she's going to talk about some beauty, lifestyle, and culture. So take it away, Morgan.
All right, John, thank you so much. So again, this is Morgan Angelique Owens, and we are talking all things beauty, wellness, lifestyle, and I am here today with Dr. Anisa Shomo, who has an amazing business called Health is Love. So actually this segment is powered by her. So I'm super excited to talk about her business, how beauty and health go two and two, because it absolutely does. So welcome, Dr. Shomo.
Thank you. Thank you, Morgan, for having me.
Yeah. Do you want to just briefly introduce yourself to the audience?
Yeah, so I am a family medicine physician. I've been a physician for about 10 years. I graduated medical school in 2010. So it's been about a little more than 10 years. And I've been here in Cincinnati for that whole time. I came here to train, and I've been working here in the community. And the thing about me is I'm like my parents, where I don't necessarily just do one thing. So for me, I like to be creative and to have a lot of different things going on. And one of those things that is an extension of that creativity is my businesses that I started. So I started Dr. Shomo Knows, where I talk about health topics. And then I also started Health is Love, to talk more about just that self-love that we need to have for ourselves, and then also for our community and for each other, to just lift each other up with health and with beauty standards and all that sort of thing as well.
Love it. Love it. So I know, me and you are going to do some things together with the realm of beauty, with Health is Love. So can you just talk about Health is Love just a little bit more and what all that entails?
Yeah, so I started Health is Love. So how I actually got started into speaking and with my business is through you, Morgan. So I was invited by my job to start working with Curvy Cardio, and I did my first speaking engagement, and we talked a lot about health. And then people asked me a lot of questions about, like, well, what's the best tummy tea, and what's the best, what about waist trainers, and what about this? And I wasn't prepared for those answers. I was not prepared to answer those questions, because nobody had really ever asked me those questions. And so, through that experience, and after that, I ended up being diagnosed with cancer, and going through this whole cancer journey. And when you are a patient, especially a doctor patient, the whole meaning of health and beauty and all of that just takes on a whole new meaning. And so, I'm going through cancer, but I don't look like a cancer patient. But people are like, well, why is your weight changing? And are you okay? Well, actually, nobody ever asked me if I was okay. I wish that people would have. Instead, they were just like, have you been working out? You're getting a little fat. I'm just like,
Yeah.
I love working out. I work out every day. So it's just like, the judgment that we have for each other was something else that kind of caught me off guard. And so, I started to write a book about that experience. But instead, I wrote a book about healing and trauma, because I felt like I really needed to heal from that experience a lot more. And it's a process. I'm still healing from that trauma of being diagnosed with cancer, and I'm currently just had another surgery related to that. So the next phase of that is, why do we do that to each other? Why don't we ask each other if they're okay, and instead just say, you're getting a little fat, like, why is that the conversation, So that's going to be the next book that I'm planning to write, just about how we should, there's no one way to be beautiful. There's no one way to be healthy. We're all on a different journey of what that means to us, and we have to support each other instead of making those judgments.
Absolutely. Well, I just want to say, I'm super proud of you. I'm super glad that, God placed you in my life. I'm not trying to cry up in here and get us all emotional, but it's important to
I already started it.
I know. I heard you. So I'm like, oh Lord, please don't start. Please don't start. But that's the good thing about, just being Black women, being authentic and letting that shield down, because I think that's part of, beauty as well, being your authentic self and being able to open up and just support each other. That's absolutely part of beauty and wellness, is that connection. You being a doctor, physician, but also an entrepreneur, but also a wife, but also the 10 million other things that you do, going through personal issues. I'm an entrepreneur, I do this, I do that. I have a personal life too, and it's hard to balance everything. You definitely need a community of support to share with. So I just want to say I'm super proud of you. I love watching your growth, and you're doing amazing things. So for the community and beyond. Yes.
Thank you.
So we're talking about beauty. We're talking about wellness. In your opinion, if you're not together on the inside, if you're not, working out, if you're not taking care of your health, how do you feel that can affect your beauty from the inside, but also the outside?
Yeah. So, the whole thing about it is, I feel like just in general as women, we do a lot more comparisons of ourselves to other women. I don't know. So for me, I was raised in a big family. I have like 7 sisters. And so I'm sure a lot of this starts in our family, where we compare ourselves to, each other and our families. And then we go through life in that way of, well, this person has that and this person has this. And I think that for me, another thing that has really brought me to this place where I am in my career and in my journey is working with like anti-racism, different initiatives in my career, and just learning more about like diversity and embracing the diversity of everybody, and just being who we are. But the problem is that there's these hierarchies that are created of beauty standards and of all of that sort of thing. And so if we're going to really get to the point where we can love ourselves and really encourage each other and uplift each other, we have to reject a lot of that hierarchy, because that's what really holds a lot of people down. They're comparing themselves. They're using these standards of beauty. They're looking at this person and saying, well, I want to look like that. When we really have to create our own standard of beauty for ourselves. Like, I know that, like, for me, I've always had, like, when we were young, people were really thin. Like, the biggest thing that was, like in the 90s and in the early 2000s was people really just were like really thin, right? Curvy girls were not really in.
Right.
And so I've always been a curvy girl. I've always had hips, like, since I went through puberty, like
abs and everything.
So, so now that's kind of the trend right now, but back then that wasn't the trend. So, but for me, it was always just like, I don't really care. Like, I've never been, what's so funny about, me writing for Herald Beauty and me being on this, talking about beauty, is that I've never been like that girl, I've always been kind of like, you cute, but it's never been like, what my focus was. My focus was always, getting good grades. I was in drama club, so like acting, all that sort of thing. Just doing whatever it was that I was interested in and being really great at it. But I was never really like, looking for a certain aesthetic, or just being like, oh, I gotta look like this, or let me, try to lose a few pounds so I can look like this. Like, that's never really been who I am. And I think that it would be great if a lot of people could move through the world that way, because for me, I didn't put as much attention on that. So I just was confident, like just from a young age, I was just like, this is who I am. I got hips. Somebody gonna like it, like,
Right. Right.
whatever, I'm not gonna try to be somebody else. And, and even from a young age, like I look at my friends from high school and we all look different. It wasn't that like oh, well, so the funniest thing is when we were in college, we had a group. I was in a fraternity. I was in a co-ed fraternity. And it was a bunch of girls in it. There were some guys in there too, but it was really a lot of women who were in this fraternity. And we had our crew of people who we just looked like whatever we wanted to look like. So some of us were thin, some of us were curvy, some of us were, just, bigger girls. We didn't care. We had fun. We would, we would like be in college playing hide and seek, just having all types of fun, like,
Right.
So, but then there was another group of girls who we call the Too Cute for You crew. So they were the ones, because I was in a Latinx fraternity, so they were the ones who wanted to go salsa dancing, and they would like go and buy outfits and, like color coordinate each other and all that kind of thing. And we were just like, why? So we used to make fun of them because they were like, the cookie cutter girls, you know what I mean? And so like my whole life, I've never really aspired to be a cookie cutter type of girls. And it's funny because all of my friends from high school, I went to 3 different high schools. So when I transferred to Shaw High School, I really felt this really great community of women who just were like, didn't care, didn't have that kind of attitude, because I didn't know this because I transferred my junior year, but they were all cheerleaders. And they all quit the cheerleader team because they were like, we don't want to do this anymore, So I was friends with like all the cheerleader like rejects who were just like, whatever, this is who we are. We're going to be who we want to be. And so, when I went to college, that kind of carried on with, I had a lot of friends who just were very confident who they were, lived life how they wanted to live it. And I just really appreciate those formative experiences for me of like not having people tell you how to be, because I feel like so many young people go through high school and college and people are like, no, you got to look like this, or, oh, you got to be like that,
Right. Yeah.
And so for me, I feel like that's what we need to create though in the world, even as adult women, because like, I remember the first time when I was wearing my natural hair at work, like I used to get relaxers. And so, for me, like transitioning into natural hair, even as a light-skinned woman with, 3C or 3B hair, I understand that, obviously in the hierarchy, my hair grade can be, somewhere where people desire that. But for me, I never even knew what my hair looked like. You know what I mean? So,
right.
So as Black women, like I spent 20 years getting relaxers and I didn't even know what my hair looked like. So, as I'm transitioning out of relaxers and being in a professional world as a physician, like that was just a big deal of like, what is my hair supposed to look like? Does it look professional? And all that sort of thing. So just having those formative experiences with so many young women who were just like, you look how you look, you do what you do. That really gave me the confidence to rock my natural hair, to figure out what it did, to figure out some different styles and that sort of thing. So we really have to build that community in the beauty industry and just with each other and our fellowship with each other.
Yeah, absolutely. And just, figure out, what works for us and, what things we can do from a health standpoint to, improve our health wellness, but also our beauty. So, but we're going to unpack that in another episode on the podcast. I wish we had more time, but I like to end all interviews by asking you, what are 3 beauty products that you can't live without?
Okay. 3 beauty products that I can't live without. So for me, as I've written in my column, it's all about the hair, like, so most of the products that I use for my beauty I use the, right now I'm using the Miel. I just wrote an article about the Miel shampoo conditioner. That's been really great. The anti-breakage, Hawaiian ginger. So I like those products. And then I still am rocking with the Shea Moisture leave-in conditioner. And then so the other piece of me is when I do a lot of my videos, I wear lip gloss, and I've never talked about what kind of lip gloss I use. I use Fenty lip gloss. So So,
Yes.
my hair, the two products are for my hair, and then I use the Fenty lip gloss for my lips.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Shomo, for joining us. Can you tell people how to follow the Health is Love movement, your website, social media, all those good things?
Yes. So my website is healthislove.co. So not .com, healthislove.co. And then my Instagram is the same, healthislove.co. And a lot of people know me from Dr. Shomo Knows, so I have those websites too. My last name is spelled Shomo. So it's Dr. Shomo, KNOWS, knows.com. So you can follow me there, and you can find all my social media there.
Perfect. All right, John, back to you.
Okay, so that was Morgan Angelique Owens with her guest. And we're going to wrap it up here on Chocolate News. I want to thank Andria for coming on and talking about some of the hot chocolate news topics of the week. So thank you for coming on, Andria.
My pleasure, John. I'm looking forward to next time.
Definitely. And you can find more information about today's topics and past podcast episodes at www.thecincinnatiherald.com, the Sesh newsletter, or on our social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And make sure to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast app. We're on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, YouTube, and TuneIn Radio. I'm John Alexander Reese, and have a good day.